intention of removing a state of impurity. And we know that wudu is a condition for the prayer for those who are able to make it. And this is where we have to be daqiq, we have to be precise. Because if we were to say wudu is a condition for the prayer, then what would you say about a person who doesn't find any water? Should they pray or should they not pray? What about the person who is in a hospital bed, they can't move, they're paralyzed from the head down? Should they pray or should they not pray? So to be very precise, wudu is a condition for the prayer for those who are able to make it. And as for those who are not able to make it, then there are alternatives from tayammum and others that will come, insha'Allah ta'ala. As for al-wudu, which is going to come in the hadith of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, then al-wudu with a fatha is the water that you use for the action of wudu. Our first hadith عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال لولا أن أشق على أمتي لأمرتهم بالسواك مع كل وضوء أخرجه مالك وأحمد والنسائي وصححه ابن خزيمة. From the hadith of Abu Hurairah, from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that he said, if it were not for the fact that I would cause a hardship to my ummah, or if it were not for the fact that I would be concerned of causing a hardship for my ummah, I would have commanded them to use the siwak with every wudu. And it's narrated or recorded by Malik and Ahmad and Nasa'i, and it was declared to be authentic by Ibn Khuzaymah. This is a hadith which has some disagreement with regard to the chain of this hadith. And this hadith was narrated by Al-Bukhari ta'liqan, and Al-Bukhari mentioned it ta'liqan. He mentioned it without mentioning a chain of narration. He missed the chain of narration out. However, we don't really have time to go into the details, and the conclusion of the hadith is that the hadith is an authentic hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that it is in its correct form, a hadith of Abu Hurairah from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But it's worth mentioning that Imam al-Bukhari has certain ahadith in his Sahih that he does not mention a chain of narration for, and that is because they are not appropriate to the conditions of his Sahih. And they're not good enough to match the condition of his Sahih, or for some other reason that he wishes. And so he misses out a part of the chain to indicate that they don't fulfill his conditions, or there's some reason why he missed out the chain. And some of them, he mentions it, like we say, بِصِيغَةِ الْجَزْمِ. He mentions it in such a way that gives you a feeling that it's authentic, and in some he mentions it in such a way that it gives you the feeling that there is some doubt. But the overall conclusion of this hadith is an authentic hadith from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Lawla, if it were not for. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he says if it were not for, what he is actually saying is that there is something which is present, which is stopping me from doing this thing that I want to do. And this thing which is present is al-mashaqqa, hardship or difficulty. So the presence of this difficulty is stopping the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam from commanding us to do this thing that he intended to command us with. And this gives us a very important point, and that is the care the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had over this ummah, and his concern for us, and his wish for ease in the religion of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-deenu yusr." This religion is ease. And then he ﷺ said, and nobody tries to make strictness and hardness for themselves in this religion إِلَّا غَلَبَ وَلَا يُشَادُ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَ. Nobody tries to make this religion hard for themselves and complicated for themselves except that it overcomes them. And Allah Azza wa Jal said, لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِدْتُمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. There has come to you a messenger from your own selves who it is hard for him to see you with difficulty. Azizun alayhi ma anittum. Whatever causes you difficulty, he feels it hard for himself. He doesn't like to see you going through difficulty. Harisun alaykum. He's so keen for what is good for you. Bil mu'minina ra'ufun rahim. Towards the believers, he is kind and forgiving. So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to give a great concern for his ummah. And there are many ahadith in this regard, and this is one of them. From these ahadith is the hadith regarding the Hajj. Is it every year, O Messenger of Allah? He sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if I said yes, then it would become obligatory for you and you would not be able to do it. It would create a hardship for you and a difficulty for you. So the Prophet ﷺ was very keen for what would cause, to avoid anything that would cause a difficulty for this ummah, or anything that would cause a hardship for this ummah. But on the other hand, the fact that he had a desire or an intention to declare this to be an obligation gives us what? The importance of this action. Because the Prophet ﷺ hamma and ya'mura bihi. He made an intention, he made in his heart, he had an intention that he was going to make it a command. Something that had to be an obligation that has to be followed. لو قلت نعم لوجبت. If I said yes, then it becomes wajib upon you. So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam was going to make this a command, an amr that you have to follow. But because of the presence of al-mashaqqa, the presence of hardship and difficulty and problems, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam refrained from commanding it and instead encouraged it strongly. So this phrase, لولا أن أشق على أمتي, if it were not for the fact that I fear I would be making a difficulty for my ummah, indicates to us the keenness of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ for what benefits us, and his desire to make things easy for us and not to make things difficult for us, and the importance of this command that is going to come. Because the Prophet ﷺ would not have mentioned in such a way that he intended to make it a command. He intended to declare this something you must do, except that this is something which is sunnatun mu'akkada. It is a highly recommended matter. And it is a matter that is close to al-amr. It's close to a command. It's close to a wajib, but it's not wajib. And this hadith is an evidence that the siwak is not wajib. So from the benefits of this hadith is that the evidence that the siwak is not wajib. However, it is near to the wajib. It is from the sunan of the wudu, and it is from the sunnah mu'akkada, because the Prophet ﷺ wished and intended to make it an obligation. However, he refrained by the command of Allah Azza wa Jal because of the fear that it would make a hardship for the ummah. So you would become, for example, sinful if you did not carry a siwak with you at all times, and if you did not use the siwak with every wudu, you would be sinful, and that would create a hardship for the ummah. Maybe some people would not be able to do it, and they would find a hardship in it, and so he sallallahu alayhi wasallam, by the command of Allah Azza wa Jalla in his revelation, refrained from making it an obligation. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He doesn't speak from his own desire. So it was not his choice that he said, oh, I think I will leave this wajib, I will not. Allah told me to make it wajib for you and I will not. That's not the case. Rather, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed to him and inspired to him this decision that he made, that he refrained from declaring it to be obligatory. Rather, he left as an indication that it is extremely recommended. Now we have to ask ourselves, what is the siwak? So the siwak is, if you like, usually any kind of stick or branch that can be used to clean the teeth is called a siwak or a miswak. Every kind of stick or branch, and many of the scholars say whether natural or synthetic, that can be used to clean the teeth. So this includes the natural siwak, and it seems, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best, that it includes a toothbrush as well. There is no reason, wallahu a'lam, to exclude a toothbrush from this hadith, because the meaning of the siwak is any stick that can be used to clean the teeth. And the purpose of the siwak, there are many benefits of the siwak. From the benefits of the siwak is that the siwak removes the leftover pieces of food which cause a bad smell. And we know that wudu is about preparing yourself for prayer and reciting the Quran. And so you don't want to have something there when the angels attend, and the angels attend the recitation of the Quran. You don't want to have something there when the angels are there that is causing the angels a dislike. Because as is narrated in an authentic hadith, the angels are put off by what man is put off by. So a bad smell, a bad odor, a bad breath, a bad smell of the body, like something that is unpleasant, the angels are put off by what mankind is put off by. So the purpose of the siwak is to remove the old parts of food, which those old parts of food can cause a bad breath, or to remove some of the things that attach themselves to the teeth, and to keep the teeth clean, and to reach a higher state of purity with the mouth. Bearing in mind the importance of the mouth with regard to the prayer, what you are going to recite, the words, the Quran you are going to recite, the adhkar you are going to recite. And so it is appropriate to make an extra effort for that mouth and those teeth and that tongue to be as clean as possible, especially when it is mixed with al-madmada, when it's mixed with rinsing the mouth as well. So the siwak followed by rinsing the mouth, because here it says ma'a kulli wudu, with every wudu, with every wudu. So the indication here is that it will be involved in the siwak and also the rinsing of the mouth as well, to give the most or the highest standard of cleanliness. And we said that the siwak covers every stick that is used to clean the teeth. However, the best of the siwak or the best of the miswak is the arak tree. As the Prophet ﷺ indicated to us, that the best kind of siwak is that from the arak tree. And this is the best type of the siwak and the type of siwak that we should try to get. And that is for a number of reasons. It is also for the smell that it leaves, for the properties that it has, the natural antibacterial properties in getting rid of all of the bacteria and the food that remains within the mouth. So, and the softness of it, the scholars say the fact that it is soft and it is moist and soft and easy to use. So for these reasons, the arak is the best kind of miswak, the best kind of siwak. However, if a person were to use a toothbrush, or if a person were to use another kind of tree, like the palm tree fiber, the stick from the palm tree or the root of the palm tree, then this is also acceptable, providing that it is suitable to clean the mouth, i.e. providing that whatever stick is used is a suitable stick to clean the mouth and it doesn't cause any harm or leave any further bad smell. So if there is a stick that leaves a further bad smell or a bad stain, or it leaves it causes damage to someone's health because it has some poisons in it or some bad chemicals in it, then this is not permissible to use. Otherwise, the siwak covers everything which cleans the mouth, every kind of stick which cleans the mouth.
and the best kind of it is from the arak tree. مَعَ كُلِّ wudu, with every wudu. The scholars differed rahimahumullah ta'ala regarding when this is to be done. Some of them said immediately before the wudu, and some of them said at the time of cleaning the mouth, because they said that the wudu, as we know, has stages: the hands, followed by the mouth and the nose, followed by the face, followed by the hands and the arms, followed by the head and the ears, followed by the feet. So they said that the phase or the stage at which a person should use the siwak is while they are making madmada, while they are making the madmada, washing their mouth out. And I don't think either of them is harmful, inshallah. I don't think either of them causes any harm, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But it seems to me, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best, that using it just before the wudu is what is appropriate. Because we don't find any narration in the sunnah within the wudu of the Prophet ﷺ of them using the siwak in the middle of the wudu. Although I don't think it causes any harm, because the scholars mention that wudu, as long as one limb has not dried before you begin the next limb, then this is enough for the continuity that is a condition of wudu. So within wudu there is a condition of continuity, that you have to move from one thing to the next, but as long as it is not dry. So for example, if your hands are still wet and you use the siwak, then there is no issue there. And the other reason is that in reality the mouth and the nose is the first step in wudu and not the second step, because the washing of the hands is a sunnah, except for when you wake up in the morning from sleep, in which case it is obligatory, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. So this issue is clear, that using the siwak at the beginning is also, whether you wash your hands and then use the siwak, or use the siwak and then wash your hands, is not a major issue. However, we would say, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best, what we seem to understand from the hadith is to use the siwak and then to begin with the washing of the hands. And Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. There is no harm if you do one, and there is no harm if you do the other, insha'Allah ta'ala. Ma'a kulli wudu, with every wudu. There are other times that the Prophet ﷺ highly recommended the use of the siwak. The siwak is recommended at all times. The siwak is recommended at all times. However, it is particularly recommended at certain times. The first is ma'a kulli wudu, with every wudu. The second is ma'a kulli salah, with every prayer. Some of the scholars said that this is actually simply referring to the wudu, yani the meaning of the salah is the wudu. So some of the scholars said there is no use of the miswak in the saf, waiting for the prayer. Rather, the meaning of with every prayer is with every wudu. Yani the meaning of the prayer is the wudu that comes before the prayer. However, we say that as far as we can understand from the hadith, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best, is that it seems that you can also, or that it is also a sunnah to use it while you are getting ready and standing for the prayer. And if we look at the purpose behind the siwak of purifying the mouth and the fact that you don't make wudu for every single prayer, then this also makes a lot of sense. That you use the wudu, you use the siwak with every wudu, and you use the siwak with every prayer. So when you stand in the saf, before you recite the Quran or you say the words of remembrance of Allah, before you listen to the Imam reciting the Quran, you use the siwak also in the saf. The third one, when you return home. When you return home, into the home. The Prophet ﷺ, when he would return home to his family, he would use the siwak. And subhanAllah, there is a fa'idah, just a latifa, a small point in this I want to mention. That a lot of us have mixed up the etiquette of the husband with the wife with regard to taking care of yourself. In that, what we do is we laze around in the house. Doesn't matter how we smell, doesn't matter how we look, doesn't matter how our breath is. And then when we go out, we freshen our breath, we brush our teeth, we put on our nicest clothes and our perfume, and we go out. And the one who follows the life of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba will see the exact opposite. That the Prophet ﷺ used to give particular attention when he would come back home. That's not to say he wouldn't when he went out, but when he would come back home, he would give attention. That is my mouth fresh, perhaps to apply a perfume, or perhaps to look at yourself and how you smell and how the breath is. Because at the end of the day, that is the right of the wife over the husband, and the right of the husband over the wife, that they should beautify themselves for one another. If you don't beautify yourself for your wife, then who do you beautify yourself for? Right, so this is one thing that is important also, apart from beautifying yourself for Allah Azza wa Jal and for the salah, is to beautify yourself when you come home. So when you come home, when you come in the house to brush your teeth, to use the siwak, to take care of how you smell and how your appearance is in the home, because this is likely to make the marriage stronger and to make love between husband and wife more, and to be easier for fulfilling the rights of the husband and the wife. From the times that the siwak is recommended is when you wake up from sleep. And the Prophet ﷺ, the first thing he would do when he would wake up from sleep after the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal is that he would use the siwak. And that is because using the siwak at this time, what it does is when you wake up, you wake up with not very nice breath. Most people wake up, you have some effect from the food that you ate before you went to sleep. You have some effect from sleeping for so long without drinking water. And you wake up usually with not very nice breath. So again, look at the etiquette, look at the mahasin of Islam, the beauty of Islam, the cleanliness of Islam in keeping the teeth clean and in having a clean, fresh appearance, especially because when you wake up, you're going to remember Allah, you're going to recite Quran, you're probably going to pray, and so using the siwak when you wake up. And also from this, some of the scholars said, is when you recite the Quran, because there is nothing that is more deserving of you being clean and fresh for than when you recite the Quran and when you recite the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. And there's no doubt that the angels attend the recitation of the Quran, and therefore it is befitting that you should not cause the angels any dislike or discomfort from the bad smells that come out of your mouth when you are reciting also the Quran. So these are the times the scholars mention that it is recommended for a person to brush their teeth. With regard to the fasting person, the correct opinion is that the siwak is also recommended for the fasting person. Some of the scholars disliked the use of the siwak at the end of the fast. And they said the reason why is that smell that comes out of the mouth of the fasting person is more beloved to Allah than the smell of misk. Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, replied to this and he said this is not the case. Because this smell does not come from the mouth. This smell comes from the stomach. And therefore it comes from the bile and the acids and the liquid in the stomach is what causes this smell of the fasting person. And therefore Ibn al-Qayyim said, there is nothing wrong with you cleaning your mouth with the siwak. Rather, the obvious sunnah that is established from the Prophet ﷺ is that he would use the siwak when he was fasting. And so we don't think that it is true, the opinion some of the scholars had, that it is makruh to use the siwak while fasting, or that it is makruh in the latter part of the day. Rather, what seems to be the correct opinion is that it is mustahab during fasting, throughout the fast, whether it is in the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And we know that no matter how much you use the siwak, the smell of fasting does not go from the mouth. The smell of fasting does not properly go from the mouth. And also from the times that it is recommended to use the siwak is when you feel that you have bad breath, or when you feel that you have some sort of dryness and some sort of staleness in the mouth, that it is recommended for you to use the siwak at this time as well. So these are some of the times that it is recommended to use the siwak. Also from the benefits of this hadith, and I think that this hadith is no doubt from, in my mind, is no doubt that this is from al-i'jaz, al-ilmi, this is a miracle of the Prophet ﷺ with regard to the mahasin of Islam. Because subhanallah, we now know the importance of brushing your teeth. We now know the importance for your general hygiene of your body, for the hygiene of your mouth, for the fact that so many illnesses from the body come from the mouth and are shown in the mouth, and that not taking care of your teeth is linked to lots of other diseases and things like oral cancer and all sorts of other issues, and there are issues with diabetes and all sorts of things that come related to how you take care of your teeth. And so subhanAllah, you see this and you see the completeness of Islam. It's really only in the last few decades that we have really known the importance of taking care of your teeth. Really, and people governments spend huge amounts of money to teach people to take care of their teeth and to educate people that you need to brush your teeth and you need to stop, you need to take care of your teeth and so on and so forth. And yet, subhanAllah, look at the etiquette of Islam. And I can't believe that there can remain a dentist who does not become Muslim when they read this hadith. Because subhanAllah, look at the mahasin of Islam, the beauty of Islam. That Islam commands you need to brush your teeth with every wudu, using a natural toothbrush. You brush your teeth with every wudu, you brush your teeth with every salah, you brush your teeth when you come home, you brush your teeth when you wake up in the morning, and so on and so forth. And you're constantly brushing your teeth. And of course you're not using maybe the fluoride toothpaste the whole time, but you're using the natural antibacterial miswak that itself has natural properties to fight the diseases and the things that happen in your mouth. So subhanAllah, there's so much khair in the sunnah. And all the problems we have, and a lot of our kids, let's be honest, a lot of our young children have teeth problems. They have rotting teeth, they have teeth falling out, they eat too many sweets and so on and so forth. But subhanAllah, the sunnah has a cure for everything. Wallahi, the sunnah has an answer for everything. If we teach our children this sunnah, then our children will grow up brushing their teeth. Because they are used to using the siwak when they make wudu. They are used to using the siwak when they go for the prayer. They are used to using the siwak when they wake up in the morning, get up in the morning, first thing use the siwak. And then on top of that, you can tell them to brush their teeth twice a day with a regular toothbrush if you like. There is no harm in that. Or you can make the first time in the morning and the last time at night with the regular toothbrush and just the siwak, just the general using of the siwak, for example with wudu. But this will solve so many of the problems that we suffer. And it's a small sunnah. It's not, we're not talking about the prayer, we're not talking about the zakah, we're talking about a small sunnah. And yet this small sunnah can solve so many problems that people suffer from. And so many things that our kids suffer from and that we suffer from, subhanAllah, with only just by reviving a small sunnah. So wallahi, I think this is from al-i'jaz, from the miraculous nature of the sunnah and the miraculous nature of the revelation in Islam, that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us even the smallest things that will correct our lives and correct our health and keep us in a situation that we can remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that is best. And we can remember Allah Azza wa Jal in a way that is befitting. So I think there are a lot of mahasin, there are a lot of benefits in this, there's a lot of beauty in the etiquette of using the siwak with every wudu. Looking at the time, I think we will not start the hadith of the wudu because the hadith of the wudu is long. And we will need to go into each part bit by bit, and probably we'll need to cover a number of hadith at once. So I think that we will stop with the hadith of the siwak, inshallah. We lost a little bit of our time because of the talk that came before this one. So la bas, inshallah, we will stop there, inshallah ta'ala. But I think we covered most of the most important points regarding the siwak. Most importantly, that the siwak is to be used with wudu, and that this is sunnatul mu'akkada, highly recommended sunnah, but that it is not obligatory to do so. So you're not sinful if you don't do it, but if you do it, it is recommended for you to do so. And again, I just want to finish by encouraging all of you guys and myself to implement the ahadith that you hear. This is a hadith all of us can do. All of us can go today or tomorrow, and by the end of tomorrow we can get ourselves a siwak.